item on the agenda is the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Thank you. Maureen is remote tonight. Carrie is not feeling well, so she will not be coming. We still have a majority by the, quorum by the, by numbers. Yeah, just the lesser amount that we have today, so we're good. So, are there any added agenda items? Anybody? No? Okay. The minutes of the January 14th meeting are up for approval.
Make a motion to approve the minutes of the January 14th meeting.
Second, you? Who seconded that?
I'm giving it to Courtney.
Okay. So made by Fran, seconded by Courtney. All those in favor? Opposed? Abstentions? Okay. Public participation. Well, our public is invisible, so I guess we will pass on that. Is there a visitor there? Oh, it's Bob Leach. Hi, Bob.
He raised his hand. Is he muted automatically?
Does that mean he's waiting?
Oh, waving.
Oh,
Got it.
okay. So Tim, we take you rather quickly, don't we? Wait. Oh,
There we go. I'm here now.
okay. Nice to have you on board. Okay, Tim, what's yours?
At Broadbrook Elementary School, student engagement remains strong with several initiatives highlighting both academic enrichment and wellness. The Family Mileage Club continued on January 14th, promoting physical activity and healthy habits among students and families. During winter break, over 200 students participated in the Winter Learning Challenge, demonstrating a strong commitment to learning outside of the school day. The classes with the highest levels of participation were rewarded by selecting a class incentive such as extra recess, pajama day, or lunch with the tools. Additionally, one student from each grade level was selected to serve as principal of the day. These students selected their own assistant principal and spend the day leading the school alongside Mrs. Fox and Mr. Ryan. Students are currently completing their mid-year assessments, and we look forward to reviewing the data and celebrating academic growth demonstrated across all grade levels. East Windsor Middle School boys and girls basketball teams are in full swing this season. Recently, the East Windsor Middle School girls basketball team earned an impressive 32-21 victory over Craig International. Our 8th grade students recently went on a field trip to Connecticut Museum of Culture and History and had a great experience. Students are also finishing their mid-year diagnostic assessments, including iReady, literacy assessments, and Acadian's math. On January 12th, Ed Rising Club members Thomas Fair, Riley Maxada, and Aislinn Racinos presented a lesson at the Connecticut Associations of Schools 2026 Elementary Leadership Conference at CT State as Nantucket to students in grades 4 to 6. The East Windsor High School Ed Rising students created and co-taught a lesson about building consensus that highlighted self-awareness and responsible decision-making skills with the participants. This was a fantastic opportunity for students who are interested in future careers in teaching to practice their teaching skills to gain real-world experience. The students of Educators Rising do not hide their pride in our pride.
Thank you. Next, we have upcoming meetings and events. If there are no questions on that, there's a lot of stuff going on.
We'll have to put something in there about policy if you want the meeting.
Yes, we had BPR just prior to this meeting, so we'll end up adding another BPR meeting. We didn't come up with a date, but I'll work with the vendors.
Who's the chair of that committee, subcommittee?
It was
Heather.
that may be a discussion for later, because I believe curriculum lost their chair as well, too.
Oh, no, Courtney's the chair of curriculum, right?
I think
Yeah, and I mean, until we
get our new members to decide to rename them, I can continue.
Perfect.
Okay, so we're on to the superintendent's report.
Okay, awesome. So I have two. One, obviously the very big one, the budget. So this is the first round. If you look in your back on page 5, you have the superintendent's proposed budget. If you just give me a sec too, I'm going to let's do this. Shows up. So just a couple reminders with the proposed budget tonight. And you saw earlier, as far as meeting dates, on February 12th, I will be presenting during public meeting along with the hearing that follows immediately after. So this booklet is something that I've provided each of the last 5 years I've been superintendent. Obviously, it provides a narrative along with the local tax numbers. I will not or have no intention of using tonight as a page by page breakdown, but rather an overall summary of the proposed budget. As you can see, there's been a tremendous amount of work put into this budget, along with thought. Certainly, kudos to Ryan and his leadership with support with that, along with the entire leadership team. Just a reminder, based on charter, there cannot be discussion on this budget proposal until after public hearing, which is scheduled for, again, that February 12th date. What I've tried to do in the past, as I am today, is recognizing the Board of Ed is an important driver with this budget and giving you a preview prior. It has been filed with town, so it is a public document at this point. I will say it's always odd to present and say no questions.
I know. It's like it's all
Our day will come.
So as the board's well aware, this budget proposal is grounded on the priorities outlined in the board's strategic plan, which is focused on the 4 areas that includes our portrait of the graduate. The portrait of the graduate, as this group is well versed, is our vision for high quality pre-K through 12 education across all 3 schools. It expands this approach across every grade level by offering students meaningful choices and pathways to pursue their passions in preparation for success after graduation. So through our portrait of the graduate and strategic plan, we're invested in raising our students' performance by providing high quality curriculum and resources, and through the continued professional development offered to our teachers. We have high state and district standards that provide the vision for our educator professional development, our instructional budget proposals, our teacher evaluation goals, and how we design our programs and initiatives. This budget proposal continues to support those priorities outlined in our strategic plan, as well as the portrait of the graduate, also promoting a culture that produces graduates that are lifelong learners, civic contributors, motivated problem solvers, responsible citizens, among much more. It's essentially exactly what our portrait of graduate is about. So just kind of jumping into the numbers, and this slide right here is taken directly from the budget booklet that you have in your packet, and provides our budget at a glance. So the figures shown in each department reflect the changes to the local budget. So as this group's well aware, we have grants and other revenue sources that offset costs and reduce the net impact. So certainly if you take those grants and revenues, these numbers would be higher. When we're talking about the BOE budget, what gets approved, we're talking about local tax dollars. So a couple areas that I'm just going to focus that pop out is starting with the district-wide. The primary increase to district-wide is medical insurance. It's currently projected at 14%, and that's based on the most recent state projection. The final one will not come in until about April or May. What I can tell you in, that district-wide cost center, that would actually reflect a decrease if we remove medical, from it. So the entire increase, is medical. And again, that cost center would be a reduction if we remove those medical costs out. The other one that pops out is the curriculum budget, and this is directly due to the reduction in federal title funding. And you'll see a little later, our reductions over the last year plus have been approximately about 100,000. Curriculum would remain flat if there was not a reduction in federal funding. Certainly I'll talk a little bit how we've offset that a little bit and how we've been strategic. And then, being a very small cost center, less than 1% of the overall budget. You do see the percent increase. That's really just a reallocation of supply lines moving from individual buildings, to the one district-wide account line in an effort to improve reporting. That cost center is actually flat. Again, it's just the moving, of an account line from building to a district-wide line. In this proposal, we are strategically using approximately half of the projected year-to-end balance in the 2% fund. So that's just over 152,000, which would leave that same amount in the 2% fund should there be some type of emergency or unanticipated costs down the lines. Again, being strategic as far as reducing some of that funding that was lost to curriculum and offsetting that large medical. On that account line, referencing the 2% fund and other tuition costs. Those funds reference what's in the 2% fund currently, along with food service funds generated through eligible food service costs and preschool tuition. So it's an all-encompassing revenue line there. Just go. So in this pie chart, you kind of have the budget at a different glance. Again, the graph represents the local budget allocations for each department. And this is how our local tax dollars are spread out across departments. Percents are rounded to the whole number. So for example, it shows that band is less than 1% of the entire budget. I will tell you, we are funding band. It's just that because it's less, it rounds it down to the nearest percent, which shows as 0. Salaries are embedded in each department and make up a total of about 58% of the total budget. So for example, teachers that are at the middle school, their salaries would be reflected in the middle school department. Teachers that work in the special ed department, their salaries would be embedded in the special ed department. And so forth. Same thing with facilities, nursing, and so on. Special education is one of our largest cost centers. It's 25% of the total budget, which I can tell you and report that it's on the lower end of the average. So typically, when you look at school district budgets, you're expecting special ed to range somewhere between 25 and 30%. Again, we're on the lower end. This is also not unusual when you consider that special ed touches every aspect of the school system, starting at preschool when kids are first entering at 3 years old, all the way through the transition program when they exit out at 22 years old. So looking at the school budget proposal, again, this is my first proposal. Obviously, we know it goes through a series of revisions, but the proposed increase I have here is 3.94%. This is level service and level staffing. And it's been made possible because of strong internal processes and procedures in the business office. Certainly strategic collaborative work of the finance team and their ability to reallocate resources based on changing student and community needs. I can also tell you that average increases are coming in closer to 6%. I was just on a call with Alliance districts this morning. Reminder, Alliance, there's 36 Alliance districts. which make up 44% of the total student population in Connecticut. And just going roundtable as far as superintendents sharing where they were with their initial proposal, we were the third lowest among reporting alliance districts. And I can tell you there's multiple districts in double digits. Certainly, when you think of our guiding philosophy, we're able to do this because of the continued philosophy to build on what we need, not based on what we currently have, and reallocate and maximize our existing resources. So the primary budget drivers. So we have medical insurance at 14%. And again, this is on the most recent state projection, 2 districts. We are on the state health insurance plan. Final medical will be available around April and May. I will say the last year or two, they've come in a little bit earlier. So hopefully that trend will continue and maybe we'll receive it as early as March, but it's not required until that April, May due date. Our transportation contract is set at 10%. Certainly that's a driver. I will tell you that still puts us slightly below what the average costs for transportation come in at. I will say we were able to strategically offset that increase by half. It's just over 5% with the elimination of a daily bus. So when we look at the number of kids on buses, we've been strategically able to eliminate a bus. And I would say that 5% would actually be closer to 4%. However, we did have to increase the budget to meet our mandated requirements to support McKinney-Vento related to students who are displaced or homeless and needed transportation. Certainly electricity is on the rise. We were on a fixed rate, which has recently expired. However, our timing has worked out well. We were also on a loan program related to energy efficient updates, which we started a few years ago. That loan will be satisfied, thus resulting in a flat budget for the year with the increases. So we stopped paying for the loan. The increases are coming in about the same amount the loan products had cost us. And then special education has been a primary driver in recent past with increases to the overall budget. At this time, the increase is manageable, coming at 1.88%. We also know that in special ed, things can change in a heartbeat. And certainly that's something we'll continue to monitor, but at this time, we're in a good place. And then to minimize the impact of health insurance, as well as the loss of grant funding, I'm recommending the use of $152,128, which is half of the 2% fund. That would still leave the same amount in case of any emergency or unforeseen costs. So putting the budget in perspective. And it's funny, my eyes are not as good as they used to be. When you look at the cost to fund education in East Windsor in this proposed budget, the total cost is approximately $33.2 million. When you eliminate all the offsetting grants and revenues, the budget in my proposal is approximately $29.9 million. You can see that additional funds in adult ed and the state education cost sharing grants further reduce taxpayer liability and effort to lower the mill rate. So ultimately, that $33.2 million ends up at $24.5 million and just over 26% discount due to outside funding sources. And just to put this in further perspective, based on the most recent data available, and you can get this from the Connecticut State Finance site along with Ed site, which is as recent as 23-24. Unfortunately, you can't get last year's data. It's not available. But if you look at our total per pupil costs, which again, if you're looking at the total, they are generally higher than surrounding districts as well as being higher than the state average. However, if you look at the local costs associated with per pupil, it's on par with surrounding alliance districts such as Windsor Locks and Windsor. And if you look at the two closest districts, closest in our overall student population. So if you look at Bolton and East Granby, which are very similar sized school districts, our local taxpayer per pupil cost is on par with Bolton, and it's 2,500 less per pupil than East Granby. And again, that's local tax dollars. When you take out the state, federal, and other revenue sources. And it's just a reminder, when we secure competitive grants such as the summer enrichment and after school programs, which have totaled over 400,000, these funds raise our per pupil expenditure, but they also enhance our student experiences at no cost to the taxpayer. So just to put it in perspective there. And then this budget, it still protects the work in progress that has contributed growth in the last 5 consecutive years. It's also, as a reminder, we have been top 3 alliance districts in both our achievement and growth. When you look at language arts and science, 4th in math. As you may recall, it was just in April, we were recognized with our work as far as implementing the science of reading and early literacy. And it was just this fall that we were recognized again for our student growth and our progress with chronic absenteeism. So it still maintains the work and integrity that has led to these improvements. As this board's aware, tonight is the initial step in a long process to the finish line. It's a starting point. The budget remains fluid. These key factors that are highlighted here will continue to be monitored and certainly will be key drivers with any significant changes. In summary, this is a balanced, responsible budget aligned to our district priorities. It protects students, staff, and programs, reflects disciplined financial management, and certainly respects taxpayers while meeting the needs of our community. And then at the end of the day, our goal is to provide our community with a high quality educational program in a way that not just respects our values, but also our local taxpayers' support. So on behalf of the leadership team, we look forward to working first with the Board of Education and then obviously next with the Board of Finance to support this budget throughout the process.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Now we all have to be quiet. It certainly is this budget process and the proposed budget is certainly far different from what I recall prior to being here. And what the year that I saw a budget, it was 1-page spreadsheet that had been given to the Board of Finance. So thanks to everybody, the entire team that has put this all together. It really explains for the taxpayer what we're doing. So until we can talk about it more than that. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. Fortunately, you have a while.
Yeah. Yeah. It's all right. Gives us time to sort of scribble down questions, right? So I guess we're on to our enrollment report.
Yes. So if you look on page 56 of your packet, you have a memo from myself. As you may recall, in October, that was when our first enrollment was provided for our current school year. Just to back up a little bit too, every year, that's when our first enrollment report comes out. The reason being is that's the first official when it goes to the state because it's after October 1st. And so this data was requested from that October 8th BOE meeting. The information in the memo is pretty straightforward. I don't know if there's any questions. Certainly can answer any questions regarding what our current enrollment looks like in comparison to last year.
Any
Yeah,
questions?
Yes.
I have a question. In looking at the VOAG magnet homeschool, I'm curious about magnet schools specifically. And if there's any means of us reaching out to the parents or those students to figure out why they're choosing magnet. Is it, my children went to magnet schools, and the reason we chose it was because it was geared towards what they needed in their personal endeavors. Very artsy, and they needed to go to a good music school. I'm curious if there's a means of us finding out if people are choosing magnet schools because it's a good fit for their kids, or is it something that they're doing from prior to the last 4 years, where we have progressed quite dramatically in a lot of areas. So I'm just not sure if there's a means of getting to them and getting input from them as to why that's their choice.
Yeah, let me research that and then I can follow up. One thing I'm not sure that we have their email addresses because it's not something they're required to provide. Certainly we have their physical address. So we could do some type of survey potentially where they return it. I don't know what that possible return rate would, but if we have their email, then we could put something out. That's something I do not anticipate like the magnet school would be cooperative on as far as having us access and surveying. So we would have to have the data currently on hand. So if we have it electronically and we have their email, that's certainly something we can put out. I'm not convinced that we do have that information. I believe what we have is their physical address, but I can certainly research that a little bit.
And I don't know, just to say, not, you know, not because I was that correct, but the whole idea of choice. So the whole idea of choice is something that's kind of, promoted in Connecticut. And I don't know if that impacts anything, you know, in terms of where, you know, where families are choosing to go, how they make those choices. It's interesting, and it will be interesting. I don't know how we would have. Do you have those names even, Patrick, of families who have kids? Do we have that data?
We have the families, so we have the student names and addresses.
Of the kids who go to magnet schools?
Yes.
Okay.
The reason like I had to wait till this time to provide this report
Yeah.
is there's a report that gets essentially filed. It's electronically as part
Oh,
of
yeah,
our.
so you get that information.
So that report just got finalized as far as in January. So waiting for the final report to verify the students that do attend magnet schools was the whole thing. And because that information doesn't get shared with us immediately. I don't recall the date offhand, but it's very late in which it has. to be
Yeah.
shared.
Yeah.
So.
So we have 2 years worth of data. Prior to 24-25, were the numbers higher or lower? Do you remember? Do you have anything on that? I mean, is it growing or is it maybe waning a little?
This year was definitely a dip from what I recall. Previous years were pretty steady. I will tell you during COVID, the number of students that were homeschooled were almost double.
No.
It was in the 50s, I recall.
Yeah.
So I have a question, Patrick. Of the 72 students that are choice students, are they primarily in the elementary school?
No, they're.
Are they spread across?
They are. They are. I mean, I would say probably elementary and middle school are, I would say there's probably the most at the elementary
Yeah.
and that phase. Would you say that's accurate? Sure.
Elementary and high school.
Or higher? And
Yeah,
middle school
really.
is the lowest.
Yeah.
But as they transition, we also prioritize siblings. So I know like
Yeah.
for next year, we have a number of siblings that are projected to come in
Yeah.
various grades. Certainly the change as far as focusing on the early elementary, has been a successful, shift.
I mean, I know I had brought this up once before and I know that the kind of your thought process, and I agree with it as far as, elementary and helping kids to kind of stay in transition. But if our middle school is, the numbers are really declining in our middle school in terms of what I could say, would there ever be an opportunity for us to look at middle school to
I'd
add
say
numbers in
not
the middle
past
school?
history is very challenging to bring students.
Middle school
out,
in,
you
yeah,
know,
okay.
And, like really integrate them successfully where there's.
Once every
it's a
number is
ball game, on all sides.
So being on the board, we're all asked questions because we're on the board. And I get asked questions about homeschooling with the disastrous things that have been going on. We have no control over the homeschooling people, right? Do they have to report to the school at all?
The only thing they're required
Parents?
under law to report is that they are homeschooling their child. So.
And there's no quality criteria that they have to belong to some network for homeschooling, correct?
No, that's not, no,
Do they report to the state?
no. I will say,
I think they report some things to the state. Do they, Patrick? No?
no, I would say.
I mean, they have to send a curriculum to the state if they're homeschooled in terms of what they do, and I do know that.
Not to my knowledge.
It had changed years ago. They used to have to report to my office. So for instance, Denise, to your point, if you chose to homeschool your child, you would send in a slip of paper. There was a document. This is what they did. This is the
Yeah.
curriculum. These are
Yeah, my understanding that was.
I thought there still was some reporting that was.
not from our end.
Okay.
Yeah, and even that, because I remember that even that was optional.
Yeah, probably.
Now, I will tell you, I think it's fully anticipated through superintendents that there are going to be legislative changes coming in the next session. And then there's concerns with that too, because then because the thought process is the onus is going to be placed on the local school districts, which then is additional resources and supports. And what does that oversight and
And monitoring
accountability
that.
looks like? So I do anticipate changes are going to be taking place. What they are, it's kind of wait and find out.
Well, and how much power do you have to do anything with the homeschool if they're not doing well, or the parents aren't doing what they're supposed to be doing? What's the alternative? You can't force them to come to the school. So I don't know what kind of legislation, just reporting kind of stuff, right?
I think the biggest danger that I worry about is, you, of course, you worry about what kids are getting, but the biggest danger is that these kids, in many cases, are isolated, as you know, isolated, and that's a broad statement, but sometimes I'll say that, isolated. And so if there are any instances of neglect, it's very difficult to see that or to find out how to report it. That to me is a big danger.
Yeah, there's a lot. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other questions regarding this? Hey. Move on to Ryan, the financial report.
Yep, so the financial report, we went over it with the finance subcommittee. We went over the mid-year projections. I did include those in the packet as well. I did also add a kind of a little bit of a guide as well. This should look similar to what you guys have seen in the past, just cleaned up a little bit. Again, keep in mind, these are, mid-year projections. They're subject to change, but the gist of the projections that we went over with the finance subcommittee, was that our estimated balance, at the end of the year, if everything kind of went according to, the way it was looking, was $168,571.75. And then right below that, I have the supplemental spending. So on, I believe it's page 57 in the packet, basically the green and the red below, it takes the net of the anticipated revenues and the anticipated expenditures. Those were including things like the seed funding, which is like a special ed grant that we were awarded. There's back admin claims, which are Medicaid claims. That we actually switched to a new vendor, so we're going back after some back Medicaid claims from years past that the previous vendor didn't secure for us. And then just some unanticipated costs. I know we've communicated before, but the ESS subs. So while we're very happy with our new subs versus Kelly subs, one of the kind of unfortunate side effects is their fill rate is much higher. So they're filling a lot of the vacancies, which then unfortunately it costs a little bit more. So I did put aside a little bit of an extra chunk of money just in case, just because we know that that's going over as well. So basically, if you took kind of our anticipated revenues, our anticipated expenditures, I am anticipating about a $304,000 return. Now, again, keep in mind, that's not necessarily a return to the town. That's offsetting or it's replenishing the 2% fund. I am putting back in the 77,193, which is what we had budgeted to use in the 2% fund. So that's all part of that as well. So that's what I had at the time. So the 304, that's also where the 152,000 that Patrick's coming up with for the FY27 budget is coming from. So we're basically saying, basically if we cut that in half, we would still leave a bit of a healthy balance in the 2% fund and utilize some of our year-end 2% fund replenishment, if you will, to offset the 27 budget. I put a pretty lengthy explanation in there this year. Like Patrick was mentioning in 27, one of the bigger drivers for 26 again was medical even for the current year. And then some of our savings were going to be in the reduction from 13 to 12 buses as well. We did save a bit as well on, we had some good hiring. So a number of people, we had some top step people that retired or left that were replaced with lower steps. So that's helped us out a little bit in the current year. And then we had a number of vacancies throughout the beginning of the year that were unfilled. Most of them, I believe, are filled now, but that also kind of helped and worked in our benefit earlier on in the year. I don't know if anyone has any specific questions. I know we dove into it at length at the finance subcommittee, but we could certainly answer anything else on that.
I just have one question. Right. One of the things, and this is just my dumbness in terms of some of the, so in some cases, we have, the revised budget, the year to date. And then why are some places there's not anything encumbered and there's still money available? What would you, what?
So majority of the time, like if it's in salaries, it's going to be hourly employees. So if someone has a salary, let's say their salary is 50 grand, we encumber it. If they're hourly, we don't encumber it. Medical, we don't encumber. We haven't for a number of years now, just based on the way that we take the withholding out of people's paychecks and then issue it to Anthem.
But
you have a specific?
I mean, that's East Windsor High School secretary. That's a salary, right? And
They're hourly.
they're hourly. So anything hourly.
Anything hourly, I do not encumber. Just because again, they're, we know
I see.
basically if they worked every hour of the year, like what it would come out to be. So I typically I'll do the math out like halfway through the
Yeah.
year and see if they're on track. But
Okay.
yeah, we don't encumber them in munis.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
Just that, one last thing, we are going to again bring more the end of the year projections. I think we were discussing in May. April, May, we'll discuss that with the finance subcommittee. We'll be closer to the end of the year, so we'll be able to give you a more detailed end of year
And what do
projection.
guidance counselors follow all this? I didn't say, do they fall under certified staff? Is that?
They are,
Okay.
yep, they're like the
Okay.
teachers.
Okay.
Maureen, do you have any comments on that? Being financial?
I think Ryan touched on everything, that we went over in our last subcommittee meeting 2 weeks ago. So it's looking good right now.
Thank you
You know-
very much.
Patrick, I
Thanks.
do have one question, actually. I'm sorry. I'm just reading through Ryan's notes. The ESS substitutes, because we switched from Kelly to that new group.
Yes.
And we're getting better coverage from them.
Oh, we're getting better coverage and better quality.
Okay.
So
All right.
our students are certainly benefiting. Our budget is not, but
Yeah.
our students are.
Right. Yeah, because we're spending more on subs, but
Yeah,
that
for
was the whole
there.
point of switching was to be able to get better coverage.
Correct. And Kelly, if you recall, it was an insane increase. It was unannounced, which what prompted us to start to explore elsewhere. It was like 150%, like,
It was very high. Yeah, it was.
It was like right out of the blue, right?
yeah, it was right out of the blue. It basically said, we're going to do this in 2 weeks.
Yeah.
And we refused to sign the contract, and then that's what prompted the change.
Yeah, so dollar-wise, they're close. It's just, if you have a given week, Kelly may have only had like a 50% fill rate, where ESS might be upwards of like 80 on a given week. So, even though ESS might be giving you like 10 to 12 subs in a given week, where Kelly maybe did 6. So they were unable to fill them, but obviously every time they fill the sub, then they bill us as well. So
Yeah, their customer service has been outstanding. We have a local rep who lives locally in the area. I mean, I can tell you, I don't think there's an administrator that knew who our contact was at Kelly. So it's been a positive change all around. And again, our kids are certainly benefiting from the change. And again, it's not due to increased need. It's just an improvement with service.
And I remember something about they were able to get us staff that Kelly wasn't, like nurses and whatnot. Have we utilized that?
I'll defer to
we
Ryan.
have, yeah. So it's the nurses, they've been able to provide some of the special ed replacements as well, and then custodial coverage. So they offer some more as well.
Great, thank you.
No other questions? We'll move on to personnel report. Anybody have questions, comments?
To the private school English teacher that just left, I think.
Yes.
Do we think that's gonna get filled before the end of the year?
Oh, absolutely. We have someone in the process. Actually, they start?
Yes.
They did. Okay, they just started. We had a very strong applicant.
Oh, wow. No other questions? New business. Budget workshop discussion.
Yes, so you can't start your workshops till after the public meeting, which is February 12th. And you want to have it in time for the Board of Finance workshops, which their first one is scheduled for March 25th. That calendar is in correspondence. We didn't provide it twice because they provided it twice.
Yeah.
From what I could tell, there's no changes. But because they sent it to us the second time, we said, you know what, just in case we're not missing anything, we're going to put in correspondence a second time. So that was the reason why you received it again in this packet. And then Brian and I will also need some time to update the budget booklet based on any changes the Board of Ed makes. I believe last year we did it in one.
I think we did.
one day. I mean, obviously each year is a different year. And, you know, there's a different need as far as, you know, how much to, get into the weeds and review. So I'll defer to the board. Obviously, yeah, you have the budget booklet, and, you know, what you're thinking as far as, meeting and when.
I thought a little bit about this, and I don't remember if it went originally to the finance subcommittee for an initial review. Do you remember, Noreen?
I don't remember.
I thought we did.
I
Didn't we do
think
that?
we had sent out an email and got everyone's input on the questions ahead of time. Like, if people had thoughts on like a certain cost center and thing, and then I believe we then reviewed it at the finance subcommittee and then brought it to the long meeting. But it was, I mean, it was very helpful to have the questions ahead of time.
Yeah.
So we could-
Yeah. Now it's coming back to me, Ryan. Yeah, we did that. We sent, everybody had questions, sent them in. We went through it at a finance subcommittee meeting. And then I think we scheduled for 2 meetings,
Yes.
but we
Well,
needed to do it
tentative
in
is-
one.
Yeah.
We pushed through at that one meeting.
I think everybody liked that process.
It's better than the 4 or 5 we did my
Yeah.
first year.
So the questions were from us or from the finance board?
It was from you guys.
From us.
Yes.
Okay.
From the whole board and then answered at the finance
I mean,
subcommittee.
it was the
Sort of
full
worked out
board. if I
whether there
recall.
was, yeah. And then brought to the
Yeah.
whole board.
Yeah,
Yes,
so I think we did that and then I met with Patrick and we kind of looked at some things and, you know, then brought it to the finance sub and I think that was much more.
Does everybody recall that process? Do we want to do the same thing?
I like the idea of scheduling 2 meetings and if we all need one.
Even better.
Yeah, I think that, I mean, that was pretty efficient. You know, you knew what you had ahead of time. If you had some insight as far as finance to answer questions, right? If you.
Yes, then I can ask
So you
follow.
kind of looked at, it, right, the questions, we would know what the questions are, collectively, and then the answers to those questions.
Easy time to address them with Patrick
Yeah.
ahead of time versus like showing up to the first meeting, then
Right.
then I follow up and it kind of back and forth. and
Yeah.
it's-
Yeah.
But
So I think we wait until the public hearing because we might hear something at
Yeah.
the public hearing that would prompt questions or, you know, there's a trend out there that we're unaware of that, you know, cut books or something. But maybe after that, we have, everybody submit questions. So we have another meeting before then?
2:12 is the public hearing, right?
We have a meeting the day before.
Yeah, so why don't we, we'll have had a chance to start to form our questions.
Yeah.
Go to the public hearing and then the following, maybe we do the following meeting? We
It's
didn't
okay
do
to
it.
do the questions because it's still considered just, it's not discussion, it's just questions. So that doesn't,
Well, then so then the finance committee can help sort through whatever.
right,
And then that next Board of Ed meeting would be where it's discussed. Anything on the
Yeah.
budget would be discussed. But it was a special meeting, right?
The
Just
budget
for
work,
the-
it was, yeah,
the
so it
budget.
was just based on the budget.
I don't know about you all, but I know that Noreen and I have talked just about scheduling meetings because we're talking about one maybe for the applicants. And Wednesdays are kind of my Board of Ed night. We usually have subcommittee meetings that night or something. So is a Wednesday a good idea? An alternate Wednesday from the ones that are Board of Ed? Or is that kind of problematic?
As long as it doesn't interfere with,
So
you
maybe,
know, if we move subcommittee meetings around and stuff.
yeah, or
February
After that.
18th.
so that would be February 18th.
Yeah, the only thing, is it's the town board of finance meeting, so as long as, which we would just have to miss.
Yeah. Well, why don't we do that tentative? Because they'll just be
Yep.
getting,
starting to do
Yeah.
so.
yeah.
Yeah, and I can still send like outside of myself and Ryan, we can still send a district rep.
Person.
Yep.
Well, that might be, yeah. So why don't we do that? So that would be February 18th. Save that for budget workshop.
Yes, do you need anything else for that?
So are they sending questions to the finance subcommittee?
After
For
the,
that?
after the 11th, after the 12th. So let's think about it. The
So,
12th is the public hearing. We might hear something there, but in the meantime, we still have our budget packet, right? So we can look it over and come up with questions between now and
February.
yeah.
because the finance subcommittee doesn't meet again until March 11th.
No, they meet,
We have a February meeting.
Yeah.
No, but I mean, following the 12th,
Oh,
following February 12th date. So that finance subcommittee meets February 11th. Public hearing is February 12th. So if your plan is to have finance subcommittee go through the questions before it comes to the board, does that,
maybe. What do you think, Doreen? We have a special subcommittee meeting or move our meeting?
I'm looking at the calendar here. Board of Ed, we have to file the budget with the town clerk on March 11th.
Yeah.
So
is it March 11th? That seems early.
does March 11th.
Yeah.
It says March 11th.
I feel like it was always later than that. All right.
Yeah, because we presented on March 18th. What has to be filed a week ahead of time? Yeah, that's right.
So we would have to, if we want to do finance subcommittee, we'd have to make a special meeting. Because we won't fit in there between
In that time, right?
between February 12th and March. The budget's got to be there for March 11th. So. Oh,
Not sure what to do here.
Baseline.
Talk about it till after. Meeting is so deep meeting February 12th.
could we move curriculum off the 25th? Could we flip curriculum and finance? Have a finance subcommittee meeting on the 25th and move curriculum to the March 11th normal finance subcommittee meeting? That would give time from February 12th until
Well,
February 25th to get our questions together.
Our curriculum meeting is at 6 o'clock, right?
Yeah, but I was hesitating because I didn't know, my mind, I was thinking about the topic for the curriculum. And we did those courses last time, so we're good.
A workshop on the 25th, that just.
So that could work.
Okay.
Just means.
Okay, not much.
Yeah, there were other updates, but I can give those updates at any time.
Okay, and I can talk to you.
You'll have, I mean. There's not much here.
So that would work, Pat, if that's a possibility.
So February, sorry.
So you guys were
No, I
working
mean,
something out
yeah.
that we were.
Yeah, so I mean, I think one of the things we could do is, I was looking at our planning for, the upcoming Board of Ed meetings. The agenda for February 25th is very light. So, what we could do is push the finance subcommittee to the 18th, which is a Wednesday. that follows the public hearing. And then in replace of the board meeting on the 25th, we could cancel the board meeting and hold a special meeting and hold that as a workshop.
So that would be the special meeting.
On the 25th, which would be our regular meeting night.
Would we keep curriculum that night?
Good. And then keep curriculum on the 25th?
You could, because we could
You
do.
could, but yeah, I mean, you'd also have, the 11th open to hold it too, because we wouldn't be holding I mean, we're not gonna, I imagine, Noreen, you're not looking to hold the finance subcommittee on both the 11th and the 18th, are you?
No,
No.
So you would have the 11th available.
Or we could just keep it the way it is, right?
Correct. I mean, it's really up to the board members. Do they want, for those that are on, the curriculum council subcommittee meeting, do they want 2 meetings on the 11th or do they want 2 meetings?
On the 18th.
Yes,
So
that's really what it comes down to.
The 18th would be adding the finance.
workshop.
Yeah.
And
Then
the
if we,
finance.
the curriculum would just be keeping it the way it is now.
On the
We'd have it on the
25th.
25th, then we should have a regular
Yeah, the only,
special meeting.
These ones are what.
Well, do we think the budget workshop is gonna be more than 2 hours? Because I'm wondering if we move this, the curriculum and then start the special meeting earlier, that way we have a little bit of buffer time. If it's,
you could do that. You could start the special meeting at 6 on the
That's what
25th.
I was wondering.
because I feel like those usually tend to be a little bit longer. That way we might not need the second meeting date.
Okay, somebody's name, but
we also need to schedule another meeting for the other situation. where-
interview.
That's right.
That has to be done shortly, right?
Yeah. And
And we said by February 27th, we would do that.
yes,
So we have to think about that. That's gonna be a priority because.
yeah,
We'll
we'll talk
get
about that in
trouble.
executive session, but yeah.
Does,
I need something.
Yeah, you could do that on the 18th if you want.
That's the date that Noreen and I had talked about is because it's between both.
Yeah,
That would be the interviewing?
Yeah.
so you could basically do the finance subcommittee and then you could just do the interview on the 18th.
yeah. Does,
Yeah.
that would work if, does everybody think? We can talk about stuff after February 12th.
Right.
Does everybody think they'll be able to go through the budget, pull up questions, get them to Ryan, like before the 18th? Because Ryan will need a couple days to get them all,
Yeah,
aggregated.
figured out.
Why not? That's reasonable. We're looking at it now, so.
Yeah.
Okay, that works then.
When do you want the questions?
I would say by Friday, the 13th, and then that gives Ryan and I, Monday's a holiday, but it gives us that Tuesday and even the Wednesday morning if we need it. That makes sense to you, Ryan? Yeah, I was just pulling up my calendar, but that should be fine.
So when we do the questions, is it okay for everyone to do the questions or is it just going to Patrick or
I would just email it to both myself and Ryan.
so that we're not
Yep.
messing things up as far as confidentiality? Yeah,
No questions for you.
no questions for that.
That will never happen. Yeah, good luck.
I'm gonna try.
Just
Okay.
one other suggestion there is just don't send the questions until the 13th.
Yeah.
Correct.
Because
Yeah. After the
Because-
public hearing.
we
Yeah.
can't- we're not supposed to be talking about any of it until, so.
Well, what we can do too is send a reminder email on the 12th.
Oh, good idea.
Um,
so
We have a
we're
1 day
gonna
window.
Scratch, are we
Well,
gonna scratch the
Well, you can
February
get them ready. Just don't
finance
send them.
subcommittee meeting and do it all on the 18th?
that was my understanding. So I'll recap what I believe
Yeah.
to be it. So the February 12th, on the town side is the public meeting on the initial budget proposal by myself and the first select. The following day, we'll be asking, the Board of Ed members to submit, questions they would like to report or dig a little bit deeper, on, the superintendent's, proposed budget, in preparation for, the finance subcommittee meeting, which will take place on, the 18th. That will be followed by, well, I guess the question,
Special meeting.
yeah, special meeting for the,
Interviews.
interviews. Now, do you want to do the interviews first or, second, or is there a preference?
Why don't we decide that after we have conversation? Because if we have a certain time limit that we're going to have each candidate, like, whatever,
So that could be
then, yeah,
to be.
it could be, yeah.
Yep.
Which
To be
one
determined.
first and which one?
And then, on the 25th,
Everybody, oh, just sleeping?
and then on the 25th, that will be, essentially the BOE, workshop starting at the 6th. I don't know if I mentioned it, it would be the 11th would be the curriculum council meeting.
March 11th.
No, February 11th.
Before BOE meeting.
Correct. Yep.
So curriculums can do it.
Okay, so we're flip-flopping February 11th and February 25th subcommittees.
Right.
And they're all
Not
kind of
really.
moving.
Okay,
Yeah.
Could you
I make
tell me scribbles on that?
Yeah. I mean, if going in order, February 11th will be curriculum followed by the regular,
Regular
BOE meeting. The 18th will have a finance subcommittee meeting along with, a special meeting for interviews, for potential, BOE, members. And then the 25th, well, we'll be canceling the regular, Board of Ed meeting and instead holding a, budget workshop starting at 6.
I can send an updated.
Thank you, Jessica.
So February 18th is going to be finance subcommittee, right?
Correct.
Right.
Okay,
And
all right.
interviews.
Yep, and interviews.
And then the interviews.
All right. So, Ryan, just, can you still get the financials that you get to us that would have been for February 11th out at that same time, which would be that Monday? So that we have time to go through them. And you have time to deal with the question piece. That's what I'm trying to get. I don't want you to be getting the financials out to us for that meeting and doing all the questions. You follow me?
I think that Monday, the what?
Well, we would have been meeting on the 11th, so if you can get the financial portion done,
Oh, before,
Or-
as if it was the
as
11th.
if we hadn't changed it.
Right.
So Friday, I'll send them out by like the 6th, well, that Monday, the 9th.
Yeah.
Yeah, basically.
Yes.
Yeah, so
Then
basically.
you have from the 9th through getting all the questions to deal with just the question stuff.
Yeah, I can do that.
Okay.
See, Ryan, we try not to make your life too difficult.
Oh,
Everybody realize how busy we are that it took us this long to figure this out.
The longest item on the agenda.
Then this is not meant to be snarky or anything, but that conversation took more time than the last Board of Finance meeting took. The whole town of East Windsor Board of Finance.
It's a little snarky.
Ay, ay,
Okay.
ay.
I think we have that worked out. Liaison and subcommittee reports. Anybody?
PTO had a wonderful glow dance last week.
That's right, it was last Friday.
Well attended. There were lots of parents there, lots of people there on that very, very frigid cold night. It was a grand success. That's all I've got.
Ad hoc committee, we had conversation with who's on the call, Jason, Patrick, me, Jim, Giuliani, and, Elaine from the Donovan group. Just to make sure that we're all on the same path. They will all be in attendance at the next ad hoc meeting, which is next Wednesday. So it's a good one to come to, even if you're not on the subcommittee or on the ad hoc committee. Do you have anything to add to that?
I don't. It was just kind of like a recap from the following meeting as far as revealing the tasks that need to get complete in preparation for that meeting.
So I just have a question. Do we need to, so this is the beginning of February. Do we need to send out notification for this soon? I don't know.
Right, that's part of, so all that will be run by at the next Wednesday's meeting and then the communication. So the communication is being drafted,
Okay.
the slide
good,
deck is
good,
being
good,
drafted.
great,
The only thing
great.
that won't be prepared is they are preparing a video. And so they just won't have, we had a photographer go around, take pictures and videos of some of the areas, and they won't have that in time to put that together, but they will have a storyboard put together.
And what about the time? Sorry?
The areas of concern.
Some of it, yeah, yeah. So I think they have a plan.
And they
I
have
think you'll
plans,
see-
and
Yeah,
get all that done.
they do. I mean, the questions were as basic as who's gonna be actually doing the,
Presentation.
who is the host? And I lost that because they said the ad hoc committee should.
No,
So it's gonna be, but I said, I'm not real comfortable. Most of it is going to be done by the Donovan group anyway. But it will be, I said, there are a lot of people that don't even have any idea what the ad hoc group is. So it should be, the Board of Selectmen, the Board of Ed, and the ad hoc group. So it will be from Patrick, me and Jason,
okay.
so that we hit everybody.
Yeah, and they're gonna wanna see your face at Board of Ed, and they're gonna wanna see, probably Jay, on the town side, and Patrick. Those are the people they know, or they have it recognizable.
But to
Donovan group is,
and hosted by the ad hoc committee, just did not, for a lot of reasons, didn't sit well. with it. So, yeah, so there was a lot of discussion about that little thing. And that's how it'll be hosted. So we worked out a lot of little things so that next week's meeting should be very productive. Any other liaison subcommittees? Okay,
DPR met today. We don't have a chair, a subcommittee chair. No significant updates. We have some light
we
reading
have a
to do.
lot of policies. Wow.
Mostly on non-discrimination, social media, policies, student wellness, nutrition, things like that, but a lot.
Coming up.
That's the only thing.
You were gonna be
We have
working out
nothing.
a schedule, right? Did you work out a schedule to tackle that or you're
Yeah.
waiting?
Yes.
Yeah.
And we also have, our deadline is also February 13th to respond with any questions to this. All of that, yeah.
No, I mean, I will say like most of the updates for BPR were things that changed in legislation, but that really didn't change the integrity of the policies. The next time we meet, we'll have some other policies that we have to go more in depth, but like, for example, one of the changes you have, there was a change with the curriculum policy, which is now mandated starting next school year, that certain aspects of the curriculum is posted on your website. So,
Oh.
so it's essentially a sentence or two,
Yeah.
or yeah.
Major. Oh, good.
and Patrick was gonna check on, just some of the stuff in terms, that's a bigger one that Patrick's gonna check on, and that is, policy around, ice, if ice shows up, in school. In terms of,
We have a policy, don't we?
We have a visitors policy, so
Visitors
there's a revision one to the visitors and security. So that was part of miscellaneous. That will be part of the next BPR, but we didn't really it was just discussed that will have to be reviewed a little bit more in depth.
There was a curriculum council meeting that I was unable to attend.
I was there. You were there?
Yeah.
So,
It was just two of us.
it was a, I was impressed by the amount of work that Daryl and, Barb, yes,
Yeah, well.
really did.
Yeah,
The two aspects as far as the career pathways and, some of the new curricula that will be implemented, which will be, submitted, but it sounds really good. I'm especially pleased because of the way that things are going and we're looking at high school and different avenues for high school students to, again, pursue and explore different career options. So it was a very good meeting.
Okay. Nothing else? On to public participation, which once again, we have nobody. Miscellaneous, is there any miscellaneous?
I have one. Just Evelyn and I have been going to girls' basketball games at the high school. They're really very enjoyable. If anybody's looking for something to do, you can go watch a girls' basketball game or a guys' basketball game. They have pizza. The Booster Club is there with pizza and drinks. It's a cheap night out, and it's actually quite enjoyable. So if you get a hankering to do something, check out the schedule.
Great, thanks. Anything else miscellaneous? On to correspondence. We have the enrollment report. Which is pretty self-explanatory unless anybody has questions. Email about the educators rising. And housing stability. Does anybody have any questions on any of those?
I just want to recognize Educators Rising and the recognition that we're getting for, others about this program. It's a great program.
Yeah, it's overseen by
Congratulations,
Yep. Actually, I have a comment on the stability, housing stability analysis. I think Patrick, Jason, and I all got a phone call from the planner who was aware of, and it's this document, aware of a grant possibility through CROG, Capital Region Council of Governments, that they could look for possible uses of the middle school. That's what this is about. So she applied for, I think it would be related to housing specifically, but I don't know if there are other aspects of it. But that if we get the grant to do that, that would be a great answer when people said, what are we doing with the middle school if we're vacating it? You can say that one of the things that we are doing is there's a study being done now. We're not there yet, but it's a possibility that we'll get the grant. That's what that one's about. And the budget calendar. The important dates I highlighted are to be there on the 12th of February, if possible, at the town hall for the public hearing to support presentation of the budget. On the March 18th to the Board of Finance, we'll be presenting the budget, and on the 25th is a public hearing as well. So after we present the budget, a week later, we have a public hearing.
That's right. I always thought they piggybacked each other.
Yes,
Or is that?
yeah, that's by charter.
So you present and a week later.
A week later, they do the
I
public
just
hearing.
forget about that.
Yeah. So, and then the Board of Finance after that goes into their budget meetings. We'll keep on top of when they're talking about the Board of Eds. Because, Bob, cover your ears for a minute, but it's always harder to be mean to people if they're right in the room. So it's good to have, to be there so that they're talking about, if they're talking about the Board of Ed's budget, it's much harder for Board of Selectmen or Board of Finance to, make big cuts or so. Try to be there for that. Next we go into an executive session.
I'll make a motion to go into executive session.
So the motion was made at 8:16 to include Noreen, remotely.